It was an ordinary fall afternoon when Emily first encountered the tiny creature. She had been walking through her backyard when a small, trembling form caught her eye. It was a baby squirrel, no older than a few weeks, lying motionless near the base of a tree. At first, Emily thought it was dead, but when she approached, she saw it twitch slightly. Her heart broke. She wasn't sure what had happened, whether it had fallen from a tree or been abandoned, but she knew she couldn't just leave it there. Emily had always had a soft spot for animals, and something about the helpless little squirrel stirred her deeply. She carefully scooped it up in her hands, cradling it gently against her chest. The squirrel was so small, and its fur was matted from dirt and tears. Its eyes were barely open, and it had an almost fragile appearance. Emily rushed inside and made a small, makeshift bed in a box, placing the baby squirrel inside. She called the local animal rescue to ask for advice, and they told her to feed it a special formula for baby squirrels, as it was too young to eat solid food. The vet suggested she keep it warm and monitor its condition, but warned her that it might not survive. Emily wasn't ready to give up. Every day, she fed the squirrel, which she named Nutty, and watched as it slowly began to show signs of life. It wasn't easy. Nutty was weak at first and had to be bottle-fed every few hours, but soon enough, it started eating on its own and even playing with Emily's fingers when she would sit beside the box. It felt like a victory with every little milestone. Nutty had become a part of her life, and Emily couldn't imagine letting it go. As weeks passed, Nutty grew stronger. The squirrel's fur began to thicken and its movements became more confident. Emily had never raised an animal like this before, and though she knew she couldn't keep Nutty forever, she couldn't help but form a bond with it. The little squirrel would follow her around the house, scampering over furniture and even hopping into her lap while she worked at her desk. It felt like a strange friendship had blossomed between them. Months passed, and Nutty became more independent. Emily noticed that Nutty, now fully grown, had developed a bit of a personality. It was no longer the helpless baby she had found in the backyard. Nutty would chase after squirrels outside the window, press its tiny nose against the glass, and chatter at the birds flying by. Emily knew it was time to let go. Nutty needed to live wild again to return to its own kind. One morning, Emily opened the back door to let Nutty out, unsure of what would happen. To her surprise, Nutty hesitated at the doorway, looking back at her one last time before scurrying down the steps and into the trees. But something extraordinary happened. Nutty didn't just run off. It paused in the garden, looked back, and then darted up to a high branch in the nearest oak tree. For weeks after, Nutty would return to the yard. Not every day, but enough times that Emily would see its familiar face, perched on the fence or watching from a branch. One afternoon, Emily was sitting in her garden when Nutty appeared with a tiny baby squirrel on its back. Another tiny life to care for, just like the one she had found months ago. At that moment, Emily realized something truly unbelievable. Nutty hadn't just been saved by her. It had returned the favor in its own way. The baby squirrel was Nutty's own offspring, and she had somehow come full circle. Nutty was now the protector, the parent, teaching the next generation of squirrels how to survive in the wild. Emily sat back, in awe of how much Nutty had transformed from the tiny, fragile creature she had saved. The squirrel had not only survived but thrived, and in doing so, it had given her a gift she never expected. A reminder of the incredible circle of life and the amazing things that can happen when we show kindness to the world around us. In the end, Emily knew that Nutty's return wasn't just a coincidence. It was the proof that when you help others, even in the smallest ways, it has a ripple effect, one that continues to spread long after the initial act of kindness. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe for more interesting videos, like and share this video. Have a nice day.